casa. Librado satiena. Yeah. Anytime I call, you answer. Any door I knock, you open. You're an incredible God. Incredible God. Incredible God. You're an incredible God. Incredible God. Incredible God. Oh,
anytime I call, you answer.
anytime I call,
Any door I knock, you open.
incredible God. Incredible God. That is who you are. Oh, incredible God. Incredible God. That is who you are. Extraordinary strategist. Impossibility specialist. You're seated in heaven. You made the earth your footstool. Incredible God. You're seated in heaven. You made the earth your footstool. Incredible God. Yeah.
Extraordinary strategist.
Oh,
Impossibility specialist.
you're seated in heaven.
You made the earth your footstool. Incredible God. You made the earth your footstool.
Incredible God. Oh, hey, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're an incredible God. See, Valerian. You're an incredible God. Jesus, the very living word of God. You're the way, the truth, and life. Born in a manger, rode on a donkey. Yes, you're seated in heaven. You made the earth your footstool. Incredible God. Incredible, incredible, incredible God. Extraordinary strategist. Jesus, impossibility specialist. Hey, extraordinary strategist. Hey, impossibility specialist. Jesus, uniquely unlimited God. Oh, incredible God in my family. Incredible God. Incredible God you are. Oh, that's the end of the door at the end.
Thank you for opening this video. I'm sure you're wondering what it is. Well, I will tell you. Because of the peculiarity of these times, we have decided to bring the church right into your phones, your tabs, and your laptops. Welcome to the RCCGMP online service, where we have discussions and make sure that wherever you are, you learn from the throne of grace. We are examining the series Wonderful because, of course, we are in the era of wonderful, according to what God has said through the mouth of his servant, Pastor E.A. Adeboye. So join us as we have this conversation. I am so glad that you're there watching me today. You're welcome to the continuation of the series Wonderful, coming to you from the New Christian of God Isaiah Street. We started this series called Wonderful some time back, and today we are going to continue. We have with me Tomilola to talk about wonderful responsibility today. Wonderful responsibility, what do we mean by it, and what does God require from us in order to be responsible children of God? Hello Tomilola.
Thank you for this privilege. I'm really grateful.
You're welcome once again. So what is the wonderful responsibility?
Okay, so I just did a very brief research, and according to the standard English dictionary, so I will just do them one after the other. Wonderful means extremely impressive, something extremely impressive, something very good, something really admirable. That's wonderful. 5 talents to one of them. He assigned 2 talents to the other, and he assigned 1 talent to the third servant. And he embarked on his journey, expecting them to do the needful. Now, the one who had the 5 talents was able to work with the 5 talents, and he had additional 5. The one who had the 2 talents was able to have additional 2, while the one who had 1 talent felt, let me just keep safe, let me play safe. I think I should use that, but let me play safe and not take the risk, and just eat it somewhere so that when the master comes, he can hand it over. So when the master came to get an account of what each person had done, the one who had 5 talents was able to, it was part of what he had done, and then of course he had an accolade. The one who had 2 talents had an accolade, and the one who had 1 talent, obviously he was myopic in his thinking. He was so used to his comfort zone, and he was not willing to think outside the box and had nothing to show for it. So that which was given to him was taken from him. And the master told him that because of this that you have done, you fail to be responsible for what has been given to you. You gnash your teeth. So I now said, let me even go and check what gnashing of teeth means, because we just read these things and we believe we know what they mean. Yeah. So I went to check dictionary again to know I went to check Google, because dictionary didn't give me the meaning I wanted. He said according to Google, it means to grind your teeth angrily.
Wow.
And this means that those who are actually not productive tend to get angry at situations. Now you had the opportunity as a child of God or as a resource working somewhere to prove your talents. You didn't. Instead, you did what was given to you, and then when they ask you to give an account, you couldn't show anything.
I love that part, especially relating it to the contemporary setting. God has given you talent, and he has placed you in an organization or in any company you find yourself to add value, to be productive. Now, talking about the gnashing of teeth part, now you have failed to use your talent, as it were, to use what God has given you to add value to the organization, and you see that it is going down the drain, it is not going the way it is supposed to go, you would be the first person to gnash your teeth, as it were, and just complain that things are not going very well. So what advice do you have for Christians in this regard?
Okay, so first of all, you need to come to terms with yourself that, okay, if you find yourself in that situation, you have to first of all own up, right? Okay, so I've messed up, I've done the wrong thing, I've not been productive. So what is responsible for this? So that you can snap out of that mentality. And when one of our colleagues was talking about wonderful relationships, she talked about renewing your mind. So as a child of God, it's very important. You can't expect to do the same thing the same way and expect a different result. So now that you have discovered that you're not productive, you need to know if it's a skill that you're lacking, that you need to brush up, so that you could learn. And it's not bad if you also meet your colleague who had really done well, to also put you through on how they were able to be productive and get the accolades that they have, or the promotions that they have, instead of wallowing in your ignorance, instead of complaining and getting frustrated on the job. Because when you are frustrated, you can never be productive. You can't think straight. Everything that they say to you doesn't make any sense to you. I also like to relate this to being Nigerians, because we know that we have leaders that maybe they are not doing what we expect them to do. But you, as a child of God, you as a citizen of Nigeria, what do you do in the comfort of your house? How do you rule? How do you govern your sphere, your space, the little space that you have? Do you also, or do you just sit back, laid back, and then complain? That will not resolve it. I'm a fan of, I love to pray. Even when things are good, I pray. When things are not good, I pray. Okay, so when I say let us pray for Nigeria, some people say, why am I praying for Nigeria? It's our responsibility to pray for our country. Because if everything is fine, then we will be good. But if everything is not fine, they will keep complaining, and our complaints will not take us anywhere. So I challenge us as children of God, as ambassadors of Christ, to take up that wonderful responsibility that God has given to us as citizens of Nigeria and as children of God. So stand in the gap for the country and be responsible at your different space, at your different sphere.
Well, thank you very much for expanding on that. Now, I'd like us to talk about the concept of career, the concept of ambition and ministry.
Okay.
We have a lot of people who say that, okay, this is their purpose, they've discovered purpose, this is what God has called them to do.
Okay.
But then talking about ambition, we have people tell you that it's okay to have an ambition that is not really in line with that thing you're called to do, as it were. For example, you see someone tell you that I've been called to feed the nation.
Okay.
But then talking about ambition, they'll tell you they want to be a medical doctor.
Okay.
And meanwhile, some other people have the school of thought that if you've been called to feed the nation, if that is what God is telling you should go and study food and nutrition in school and all of that. So let us have a clear air on purpose, ministry, career, ambition. Do they go hand in hand, or can each of them work individually? So from the little understanding I have, I believe it should work hand in hand. Yeah, it should work hand in hand. If you want to, so I'll use the example that you cited. Somebody who wants to be a medical doctor and he has been called to feed the nation. If you're a medical doctor, obviously you would have the knowledge about nutrients, right? And feeding the nation in terms of food, right? That's what you mean by feeding the food for people and all of that. Now, these people that you want to provide food for, they need to be medically fit. So that medical aspect of your life would also help out when you're trying to feed these people. Because for someone who is not well fed, and you feel you've been called to feed the nation, there is a way you would know that this particular food would fit this person or would suit this person's system. Because if you're giving somebody who has kwashiorkor, carbohydrates, obviously you're not helping that person. Yeah, the tummy will be filled with food, but in terms of nutrients, the person will be malnourished. So I would also take an example for myself. I'm a chorister in church, right? And I'm into HR, right? And if you look at those two things, it seems like, so you're an HR, you're in the choir, so what's up? But for you to be in the choir, you have to learn how to relate with people, right? Yeah. And I've had examples. Right now, I'm going to tell you my personal experience. I sing alto, and it wasn't like I was born to sing alto, but I just realized I couldn't sing soprano. Okay. And then I joined the choir and I said, okay, I sing alto. So they gave me the mic. On a Sunday, I was backing up. I realized I was singing off key and they switched off my mic. What? And I felt so embarrassed. I felt bad. I felt really bad. And I said to myself, I'm not going to sing ever again. But then somehow I encouraged myself again. I'm like, okay, so what I need to do is to get a training, then listen to songs, get someone who has my kind of voice texture. And today I'm better at what I do. Maybe they didn't handle it very well at the church I went to then, but I had to
come out of it myself, and I didn't allow it to affect my relationship with people around me. Although when it actually happened, I felt really bad. I cried on my way home that day. I felt really bad. But the point I'm trying to make now is, as a human resource person and as a chorister, I relate to human being in the choir. So my profession has a way of rubbing off on my ministry, and my ministry also has a way of rubbing off on my career, because even at work they know that this girl sings. You understand? At the fellowship, I make sure I try to be relevant, I try to contribute and all of those. So you can marry those things together. If you're called to be a politician, I don't know if anybody's ever called to be a politician, or you just decide to be a politician, and maybe you studied engineering in school, there's a way you can marry these two things together. Okay, so for example, you want to award contracts to engineers. You know who to award it to, you know what to look out for. So you don't have to be the one to award it to your own company. So all of these things have a way of connecting and making interwoven. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now moving on, let's talk about Christians and workplace ethics.
Okay.
Secular world.
Yeah.
Personally, I've seen a lot of situations where some people in the process of, or in a bid to be Christians, or in a bid to stand out from the crowd, as it were, they turn rebellious. Or maybe that's what people perceive them, but generally speaking, even fellow Christians see them as rebellious, in the sense that, okay, we are going to have a meeting today 5 p.m. and then you just suddenly raise your hand, no, I have to go to church, I must not miss church, I must not do this and that. And then I am very grateful for these times that we are in. At least we've come to realize as Christians that God is everywhere.
Yes.
You don't have to be in the building to worship God, and then the building is not the church.
The church, we are the church
that makes up the church.
Right.
Somehow, there tends to be this sort of clash between religion and secularism, that's operations in the secular world. Up to the extent that I've seen people who would say, this person looks SU, I'm not going to employ this person, it will give me problems. You understand?
Yes, I do.
Not because the owner of the company is a sinner, as it were, but because they feel there is this level of radicalism that accompanies, I don't want to say Christianity, that accompanies religion. So how should we balance this as a Christian? How should we make sure that, of course, Jesus says, give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and give unto the Lord what belongs to the Lord. How do we create this balance as a Christian, so that though we are not compromising our standards as Christians, we even have an organization that will see us as indispensable?
Thank you very much. Okay, so I'll draw my reference from, I can't remember the exact place in the Bible that says, be as wise as a serpent and as gentle as a dove. In passing across your message to maybe to your superior or to your supervisor, there's a way you can tune it down so that it wouldn't sit as though you're being rebellious. You understand? Some of us, because we know that God, I have to be courageous, I have to be bold like Joshua, and then you go all out and begin to confront your boss, your supervisor, maybe because you know better, obviously, but you don't need to tell it to the person's face. There's a way you can say it in such a subtle way that the person will get the message and will not feel offended. Because the truth is, if we claim to, okay, fine, you're a child of God, you might get your promotion, but your attitude will determine how far you'd go. Because this same supervisor will be the one to either recommend you for this promotion, you understand? And even if they decide not to recommend you, even though you're fit for that promotion, you're due for it, and it's not forthcoming, and you say, okay, you want to go and pray at the mountain, and you eventually get it, whoever you'll be reporting to at that stage, at that level you're promoted to, would also have same problem with you. You understand? So as Christians, we can still portray the attitude of being bold, being courageous, and not pass across the message of being rebellion. You understand? Because if we are perceived as being rebels, then it wouldn't even allow us to shine as lights, because the Bible says we are the lights of the world. Let your light so shine that the world will see your works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. So if your light is not shining the way it should shine, people will not even appreciate that part that you're a child of God. They will be saying, Is it the first Christian? Why is he behaving? Why is it so aggressive? You understand? So we need to also let our words, or the way we construct our responses, to let it be filled with grace. You know, so at times I receive some emails and I'm like, oh, I'm angry, and then I just say to myself, okay, so I have a supervisor that actually trained me, kind of, and he told me that your email remains documented even when you leave where you're working today. So whatever you're putting down, ensure that you think about it very well, so that you don't end up regretting it at the end of the day. So most of the time when I'm about to respond to emails that annoy me, I remember those things and I just calm down. And I just say, okay, thank you for your email, and then address it one after the other. So you don't read an anger mood, because at times when you want to respond to an email or you want to respond to a text message, you respond just so that the person who is receiving it, the recipient, sees that this person is angry and wants to frustrate you the more. So my point is, as children of God, let the word that emanates from our mouth be filled with grace, so that whoever is receiving it does not receive it in such a way that we will be communicating the wrong intention. You do not mean any harm, but you already lost it in the way you try to communicate to the person.
Thank you. I'd like to ask this question. We all know the trend of things, especially in the workplace these days, and most of the time it happens in the It's talking about harassment.
Okay.
Sexual harassment at work. It happens to men too. Don't let me be one-sided.
Okay.
But because ladies are more vocal, men keep things to themselves sometimes, so we don't know these things. As a Christian, we know that you're supposed to stand your ground.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're not supposed to be rude to your superior. But talking from, I've not had that experience before, but I've had people who have had the experience. Sometimes they find it really, difficult maintaining that balance, being stern and not being rude. Because sometimes when you're gentle, you tend to be taken for granted. So how do you handle sexual harassment or any other form of harassment, or how do you handle disrespect generally, disrespect to your person? How do you handle it as a Christian, especially if it is coming from a superior at your place of work?
Okay, so it's really a very dicey one, because the truth is, at that point you don't have another job, so you're not ready to lose that job at that time, and you need to get out of this as fast as possible, as soon as possible. I'd rather you confide in someone that is elderly, and let the elderly, matured, and spiritual, because there are some elderly people, I'm sorry to say, that may not be spiritual.
Sorry, Agbawo Tole.
Yeah, it's true. Because okay, so I would my simple advice is, look for someone you can confide in, seek counsel, proper counsel, and most importantly, talk to God about it. And if God does not want you to remain on that job, He will definitely open another one. He will give you another opportunity, because if you're in a place where you're being harassed, you can't be productive. Because obviously the superior or your supervisor will frustrate you in every way. That's why the God factor is fundamental. It can't be overemphasized. Because if you're a child of God and you're being harassed, when you have sought your counsel, you've confided in somebody who is elderly and spiritually matured, go on your knees. There's nothing you can't do on your knees. There's no battle you can't win on your knees. God has created that human being who is trying to frustrate you on the job. Come on, go to God in prayers and let God deal with the person.
I love that reply already. So in case you are going through this situation, in case you're in these shoes, go to God in prayers and make sure that He deals with that situation. So before I let you go, I already said that earlier. But lastly, I would like you to drop a word of advice for Christians who want to be responsible as children of God, as career people in the secular world, as it were, in the jobs they are on, who want to be wonderfully responsible. What do you say to them?
Yeah, I'll leave you with the scriptures. Luke 15 verse 7. It talks about the parable of the lost coin and the lost sheep. And when he eventually found the lost coin and the lost sheep, the verse 7 says that there is joy in heaven for every soul that is won. Now, as children of God, for you to soar on wings like an eagle, for you to be the best at what you do, you can't do without winning souls. With your attitude, in your relationship with people at work, at home, at the salon. Maybe you're a man, when you go to barb your hair, a lady where you go to make your hair, instead of gossiping, engage in meaningful conversation that will draw people to the light, that will draw people to be in the salt of the earth. Because there is only joy in heaven. There is only joy in heaven. I need you to listen to this. There is only joy in heaven when a soul is won, not when you get your promotion at work, not when you win that contract, not when you get that $1 billion contract. So the spiritual controls the physical. When you win soul, all of those things are added and added. Thank you.
Wow, hallelujah. That's a very nice one coming from Tomilola. Unfortunately, we have to draw the curtain at this point. I wish this discussion continues, but then see you on our next episode. This was really amazing, and I hope you enjoyed it so far. Also, I hope that you've been blessed. In case you want to watch this episode again and again, and as well as the other episodes we've already shown, you can go on to all our social media platforms that will be displayed on your screen. Go on there and watch all of those episodes. God bless you, and see you again.